Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video we will be looking at validity across all methods of investigation, which you need to know for AQA A-level psychology in the subtopic of research methods. I hope you enjoy this video and find it helpful. Let's get started. Validity in psychology research refers to the extent to which a research instrument or method accurately and effectively measure what it claims to measure. It examines whether a research instrument or method effectively measures what it claims to measure. A valid measurement is generally reliable. If a test produces accurate results, they should be reproducible. Internal validity. Internal validity. The extent to which a study can establish that changes in the dependent variable were caused by the researcher's manipulation of the independent variable, cause and effect relationship, rather than other confounding and extraneous factors. External validity. External validity. The extent to which the results of a study can be generalized beyond the specific context of the study to other settings, ecological validity, other people, population validity, over time, temporal validity, and variables. Population validity. The extent to which research findings can be extended and generalized beyond the specific study context to other populations or groups of people. Factors that affect the population validity include attrition, participant dropout, sampling methods, sample size, sample bias, e.g., using samples that are not representative of the target population, using a homogeneous sample that lacks diversity in terms of age, gender, ethnicity, socioeconomic status, and cultural background. Ecological validity. The extent to which findings from a research study can be generalized to real-world settings and environments. Factors that affect the ecological validity include artificiality of the research setting, e.g., laboratory experiments, Hawthorne effect and simplified task and stimuli, lack of attention to contextual factors, e.g., ignoring environmental influences, overlooking cultural differences, norms, values and beliefs, and neglecting the dynamic nature of behavior, mismatch between research goals and application contexts, e.g., testing abstract constructs versus real-world problems, emphasis on internal validity at the expense of external validity, e.g., establishing a causal relationship between variables, lack of relevance to stakeholders, e.g., practitioners, policymakers, or community members, and failure to consider social and ethical implications. Temporal validity. The extent to which findings from a research study can be generalized to other historical times. Construct validity. Construct validity refers to the extent to which a particular psychological test or measure reflects the theoretical, abstract or psychological construct, e.g., existing theory and knowledge, it is intended to measure. It involves both the theoretical relationship between a test or measure and the construct it claims to measure, as well as the empirical evidence that the test measures that construct. Construct validity has two subtypes. Discriminant validity. The extent to which a measure does not correlate strongly with different measures of unrelated constructs, e.g., a behavior, attitude, or concept, particularly one that is not directly observable. This examines the relationship between a target measure and comparison measures of different, theoretically distinct constructs and is supported by weak or low correlations between the target measure and measures of dissimilar constructs. This helps demonstrate the uniqueness of the construct being measured, showing it is distinct from other constructs. Convergent validity. The extent to which a measure does correlate strongly with a different measure of related construct, e.g., a behavior, attitude, or concept, particularly one that is not directly observable. This examines the relationship between a measure and other measures of the same construct, often using different methods, and is supported by strong, positive correlations between the target measure and different measures of the same construct. This helps establish that the measure is actually capturing the intended construct, as evidenced by its agreement with other measures of the same construct. Criterion validity. Criterion validity, or criterion-related validity, the extent to which a test or measurement corresponds and correlates to other established and valid measures of the same concept, external criterion or outcome. It includes concurrent validity, correlation with existing measures, and predictive validity, predicting future outcomes. Concurrent validity, the extent to which a new measure correlates highly with the performance on an already well-established and valid measure, criterion, of the same construct, when both are administered at the same time. Measuring concurrent validity involves identifying a well-established, validated measure, criterion, that assesses the same construct as the new measure you want to validate, administering both the new measure and the established criterion measure to a sample of participants at the same time or within a short time frame, and calculate the correlation coefficient between the scores on the new measure and the scores on the established criterion measure. The strength of concurrent validity is measured by the correlation between the new test and established test, with higher correlations indicating stronger concurrent validity. Predictive validity, the extent to which a test or measurement can predict a criterion measured in the future. Measuring predictive validity involves carefully selecting a relevant criterion, collecting data on both the predictor and the criterion, calculating the correlation coefficient, and interpreting the results in the context of the study and its purpose. The strength of predictive validity is measured by the correlation between the predictor scores and criterion scores, with higher correlations indicating stronger predictive validity. Face validity. Face validity, the extent to which a test or measurement at first sight appears to measure what it claims to, is intended to and is supposed to measure determined from the perspective of a test taker or expert. Face validity is a superficial assessment and is subjective, not a technically rigorous form of validity, meaning it is not a guarantee that a test is actually measuring what it is supposed to. It is primarily a matter of public perception that can enhance test-taker cooperation, public acceptance, and clinical utility. Content validity. Content validity, the extent to which a test or measurement accurately, adequately, and fully represents and reflects all aspects and features of the intended content domain and concept being measured, determined by a panel of subject matter experts. Content validity is a systematic evaluation of test content, using a variety of methods including expert reviews, item domain congruence, factor analysis, alignment methodologies, and content validity ratios. It is objective and a rigorous form of validity, crucial for ensuring that a test is a valid measure of the construct of interest. However, it can be challenging to establish for complex constructs and requires careful consideration of the domain and its boundaries. Ways to improve validity. Control variables. Ensure that confounding and extraneous variables are controlled or kept constant throughout the experiment. This helps isolate the effect of the independent variable on the dependent variable, reducing the risk of confounding factors influencing the results. Use a control group. Ensures that the researcher is better able to assess whether changes in the dependent variable were the result of their manipulation of the independent variable rather than other factors. Randomization. Use probability random assignment to allocate participants to different groups, e.g. control and experimental groups. This minimizes selection bias and helps ensure that groups are comparable at the start of the experiment. Use an appropriate sample size. Use a sufficiently large sample that is representative and diverse to increase the power of the experiment and reduce the likelihood of random error affecting the results. Blinding. Implement single-blind or double-blind designs. In a single-blind study, participants are not made aware of the aims of the study until they have taken part and are unaware of which group they belong to. This reduces the effect of demand characteristics on their behavior. In a double-blind study, both participants and experimenters are unaware. This reduces demand characteristics and investigator effects. Change the external environment. Conduct the experiment in a variety of settings to see if the results hold true in different contexts. Use standardized procedures. Ensures consistency across all aspects of the experiment. This minimizes the impact of participant reactivity and investigator effects on the validity of the outcome. Use of reliable measures. Employ validated and reliable measurement tools and instruments. This ensures that the data collected accurately reflects the constructs being studied. Pilot testing. Conduct pilot studies to test the experimental design, materials, and procedures. This helps identify any potential issues before the main experiment, allowing for adjustments to improve validity. Replication. Replicate the experiment with different samples or settings. Consistent findings across multiple studies enhance the validity of the original results. Clear operational definitions. Clearly define the variables and how they will be measured. This reduces ambiguity and ensures that the experiment accurately assesses the intended constructs. Clear and precise questions. Ensure that questions are clearly worded and free from ambiguity. Avoid jargon and complex language that may confuse respondents. Use of established scales. Whenever possible, use validated scales or instruments that have been tested for reliability and validity. This can provide a solid foundation for your questionnaire. Pilot testing. Conduct a pilot test with a small group from your target population. This helps identify any confusing questions and allows for adjustments before the full distribution. Balanced response options. Provide balanced response options, e.g., Likert scales, to capture a range of opinions. Ensure that the options are symmetrical and cover the full spectrum of possible responses. Avoid leading questions. Frame questions neutrally to avoid influencing respondents' answers. Leading questions can bias the results and compromise validity. Randomize question order. Randomizing the order of questions can reduce the risk of response bias, as it prevents respondents from being influenced by the sequence of questions. Include open-ended questions. Adding open-ended questions allows respondents to express their thoughts in their own words, providing richer data and insights. Ensure anonymity and confidentiality. Assure respondents that their answers will remain confidential. This can encourage honesty and help the participants to not feel embarrassed, improving the validity of the responses. Regular reviews and updates. Regularly review and update the questionnaire based on feedback and new research findings to ensure it remains relevant and valid. Add additional questions. This would make the aim of the experiment less obvious to guess. This makes it less likely that participants will alter their specific questions, reducing demand characteristics. Allow participants to complete the questionnaire in private. The participants could have completed the questionnaires without the presence of the researcher by sending them the questionnaire by post or electronically with instructions provided including how to return the completed questionnaires. If the researcher was not present whilst the participants carried out the questionnaire, then their presence would not affect the results obtained. Clear operational definitions. Clearly define what you are observing. This helps ensure that you and any other observers understand exactly what behaviors or events are being measured. Training observers. Provide thorough training for observers to ensure consistency in how observations are conducted. This can help reduce individual biases and ensure everyone is on the same page regarding what to look for. Use multiple observers. Having multiple observers can help reduce bias and increase reliability. You can compare notes and reach a consensus on what was observed, enhancing the validity of your findings. Standardized observation protocols. Develop a standardized protocol for conducting observations to ensure that all observers follow the same procedures. This can include specific times, locations, and contexts for observations. Pilot observations. Conduct pilot observations to test your methods and refine your approach. This can help identify any issues with the observation process before the main study. Triangulation. Use multiple methods or sources of data to corroborate your findings. For example, combining observational data with interviews or surveys can provide a more comprehensive view and enhance validity. Minimize observer bias. Be aware of your own biases and how they might affect your observations. Consider using blind observation techniques, where observers do not know the study's hypotheses or the specific behaviors being studied. Contextual considerations. Take into account the context in which observations are made. Factors such as time, location, and environmental conditions can influence behavior, so it's important to consider these when interpreting results. Conduct the study in a naturalistic setting whenever possible. Conduct the study in a setting that is similar to the real-world environment where the findings are intended to be applied. Document everything. Keep detailed records of your observations, including the context, time, and any relevant notes. This documentation can help validate your findings and provide a richer understanding of the observed behaviors. Change the design of the observation. Conduct covert and non-participant observations, so that the observer remains undetected and the researcher does not consciously or unconsciously influence the participant's behavior. This means that the behavior of those observed is likely to be natural and authentic. Check over behavioral categories. Behavioral categories that are too broad, overlapping, or ambiguous may have a negative impact on the validity of the data collected. Triangulation. Use multiple data sources, methods, or researchers to corroborate findings. This could involve combining interviews, focus groups, and observations to provide a more comprehensive understanding of the phenomenon. Member checking. After data collection, share findings or interpretations with participants to confirm that their views and experiences have been accurately represented. This feedback can help validate your conclusions. Thick description. Provide rich, detailed descriptions of the context and participants. This helps readers understand the setting and circumstances of the study, enhancing the credibility of the findings. Reflexivity. Be aware of your own biases and how they may influence the research process. Reflecting on your positionality and the impact it has on data collection and interpretation can enhance validity. Peer debriefing. Engage with colleagues or peers to discuss your research process and findings. This can help identify any biases or assumptions you may have overlooked and provide alternative perspectives. Audit trail. Maintain a clear record of all research decisions, data collection processes, and analysis steps. This transparency allows others to follow your research journey and evaluate the validity of your findings. Purposeful sampling. Select participants who have relevant experiences and insights related to the research question. This ensures that the data collected is meaningful and representative of the phenomenon being studied. Longitudinal studies. If possible, conduct studies over an extended period to capture changes and developments in participants' experiences. This can provide a deeper understanding of the context and enhance validity. Cognitive interviews. Use cognitive interviewing techniques to understand how participants interpret questions and respond to them. This can help refine your data collection tools and ensure they accurately capture the intended information. Thank you for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe for more content like this. Bye.